Beneath the bright skies and endless beaches of Florida lies a side most travelers never see. While tourists flock to theme parks, luxury resorts, and sunlit shores, there is another Florida, cloaked in mist and shadow, where history refuses to stay buried. From the moss-draped swamps of the Everglades to crumbling mansions in historic towns, echoes of tragedy, crime, and restless spirits linger in corners both forgotten and feared. Old lighthouses keep watch over storm-tossed waters, whispering tales of shipwrecked sailors and lonely keepers who never left. Abandoned asylums and hotels hide secrets behind locked doors and peeling paint, carrying the memories of lives cut short and unexplained events that defy reason. Even in the heart of bustling cities, reports of ghostly figures, cold drafts, and shadowy forms suggest the past never truly let go. Tonight, we leave the warmth of the sun behind and step into Florida's darker corners. Prepare to walk deserted hallways where whispers cling to the walls, stand on beaches where apparitions emerge from the surf, and peer into forests where unseen eyes watch from the shadows. Each story is a reminder that beneath the tourist-friendly surface lies a land where the living are cautioned to tread carefully and the dead refuse to remain silent. Beneath the sunshine and palm trees, Florida holds secrets that refuse to rest. Tonight, we venture into the 15 most haunted places in Florida, where the past still breathes and the dead still linger, waiting for the unwary to cross their path. Haunted Place. Number 1. St. Augustine Lighthouse, St. Augustine. Standing tall against the Atlantic winds, the St. Augustine Lighthouse is more than a beacon for sailors. It is a monument to tragedy, mystery, and lingering spirits. Since its construction in the 19th century, the lighthouse has witnessed countless shipwrecks, storms, and deaths that have left an indelible mark on the place. Locals and visitors alike have reported unsettling encounters that defy explanation, from shadowy figures moving along the spiral staircases to whispers that seem to echo from empty rooms. One of the most persistent stories involves the keepers themselves. Former lighthouse keepers, who dedicated their lives to guarding the coast, are said to have never left. Footsteps echo through the tower late at night when no one is there. Doors creak open, and cold drafts sweep down the stairwell as though someone unseen is moving through the space. Staff and paranormal investigators have frequently captured unexplained orbs of light in photographs, adding to the tower's eerie reputation. Then, there are the shipwrecked souls. The lighthouse's location has long been a treacherous stretch of coast, claiming the lives of sailors who never made it to shore. Visitors report seeing fleeting figures on the observation deck, pale shapes that vanish as soon as they are noticed, and the sensation of being watched while climbing the steep stairs. Some claim to have heard the crash of waves accompanied by the distant cries of those lost at sea, though no storm is present. Adding to the unsettling atmosphere is the story of a young girl who fell to her death in the lighthouse long ago. Her spirit is said to wander the grounds, sometimes appearing near the base of the tower or along the walkways leading to the observation deck. Children visiting the lighthouse have reported laughter and footsteps behind them when no one is there, while adults often sense a heavy presence in otherwise empty rooms. Paranormal investigations at the site have produced chilling recordings, disembodied voices calling out, unexplained shadows moving along walls, and cold spots that defy the lighthouse's otherwise warm, sunlit atmosphere. Even on bright sunny days, many describe a heavy, almost suffocating feeling, as though the past is pressing down upon the present. Whether it is the restless keepers, the lost sailors, or the tragic souls of those who died on the premises, the St. Augustine Lighthouse remains a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin. Visitors are often warned to respect the tower and tread carefully, for once you step inside, you are never truly alone. As the sun sets over the Atlantic and the lighthouse casts its final beam of light for the night, one cannot shake the feeling that history's shadows are still roaming the spiral staircase, waiting for those brave enough to walk its heights. And from here, our journey takes us deeper into Florida's darkest corners, where the next haunted site waits, its secrets hidden just beyond the moonlit horizon. Number 2. Cassadaga, Volusia County. Nestled deep in the forests of Volusia County, Cassadaga is a place unlike any other in Florida, a small town steeped in mysticism, where the veil between the living and the dead is said to be thin. Known as the psychic capital of the world, Cassadaga has drawn mediums, spiritualists, and curious visitors for over a century, each seeking guidance, insight, or a brush with the supernatural. But alongside its reputation for psychic readings lies a darker, more unsettling presence that locals and visitors whisper about in hushed tones. Walking through Cassadaga feels like stepping into a world out of time. Narrow streets wind past weathered cottages and old hotels, many of which have stood since the town's founding in the late 1800s. These buildings, while charming by day, take on an ominous air after dark. People have reported hearing footsteps echoing along empty hallways, doors opening and closing on their own, and shadows flitting past windows when no one is inside. Some swear they have seen apparitions in the dim candlelight, figures dressed in early 20th century attire, appearing and disappearing as though tethered to another era. The spiritualists themselves tell stories of sudden chills, unseen touches, and whispers carried on the wind. Visitors claim that some cottages are inhabited by spirits who linger long after their mortal lives ended, particularly those who were drawn to the town for spiritual guidance but never left it. Mediums have documented strange phenomena, objects moving inexplicably, flickering lights, and voices that speak in languages long forgotten. Even those who do not believe in the paranormal often feel a profound unease when walking alone along the town's quiet paths at night. Some of the most chilling accounts come from the old hotels where psychics once stayed to offer readings. Guests report waking in the middle of the night to see figures standing at the foot of their beds, sometimes silently observing, sometimes whispering indistinct warnings. Others have seen fleeting glimpses of shadowy visitors walking down hallways or standing on porches, vanishing the moment they are approached. The sense of being watched is nearly constant, and many who spend the night in Cassadaga speak of an energy that is both captivating and deeply unsettling. Local legends suggest that the town's spiritual history attracts the spirits themselves, drawn to a place where the living are attuned to the otherworldly. Some say that during certain nights, particularly under a full moon, the town becomes a gathering point for restless souls, moving silently through the trees and cottages, their presence palpable even to the skeptical eye. Cassadaga is a place where curiosity comes at a price. The psychic energy, the centuries-old buildings, and the unexplainable occurrences create a setting that is both fascinating and terrifying. Those who visit often leave with stories of cold touches, whispers in the night, and fleeting visions that linger long after they have returned home. From the mystical heart of Volusia County, our journey continues deeper into Florida's haunted terrain. The next site waits in silence, holding secrets that are darker, closer, and far more chilling than anything in the spiritual town of Cassadaga. Number 3. The Don Cesar Hotel, St. Pete Beach. Rising like a pink phantom along the sun-drenched sands of St. Pete Beach, the Don Cesar Hotel is a Florida icon by day, celebrated for its luxurious suites and sweeping Gulf views. By night, however, it transforms into something far more sinister. Locals and visitors alike whisper about the ghost of the original owner's daughter, a presence said to wander the hotel's hallways, silent yet undeniable, her footsteps echoing softly over marble floors and ornate carpets. The story begins in the 1920s, when the hotel was completed by developer Thomas Rowe. Tragedy struck early in its history, as the daughter of the Rowe family reportedly died under mysterious circumstances within the building. Since then, guests have recounted seeing her figure in the hallways, dressed in period clothing, sometimes peering curiously from windows overlooking the beach, other times gliding silently past closed doors. She is not the only spirit reported here. Staff members have spoken of unseen forces tugging at clothing, doors that lock and unlock on their own, and sudden drops in temperature in certain rooms that seem impervious to the Florida heat. Room 401 is particularly infamous. Guests who have stayed there claim to experience a weight on their chest, as if an invisible presence sits beside them, soft whispers just beyond hearing, and the sensation of being observed even when alone. Some have captured unexplained shadows in photographs, while others describe mirrors that reflect figures not present in the room. Housekeeping staff, moving quietly through the hallways at night, have reported hearing piano music and soft singing drifting through empty corridors, a haunting melody that vanishes the moment anyone tries to locate its source. The hotel's history only adds to its eerie allure. During Prohibition, the Don Cesar is said to have hosted clandestine gatherings where secrets were kept, and some claim that spirits from that era have never left, lingering where laughter, music, and tragedy once collided. Guests have occasionally spotted figures standing on the balconies at night, staring toward the Gulf, only to disappear when approached. There are tales of lights flickering in empty rooms, elevators stopping unexpectedly between floors, and shadows crossing hallways where no one could possibly be. Despite its reputation as a glamorous resort, the Don Cesar maintains an undercurrent of unease. Those sensitive to paranormal energy often speak of a feeling of being watched, a tension that creeps over the shoulders, like the weight of history itself. Some visitors leave with only stories. Others report lingering nightmares, as if the hotel itself refuses to let them go. As the Gulf breeze whispers through the hotel's pink walls, one thing becomes clear. Beneath the elegance and luxury, a restless presence remains, forever tied to the Don Cesar's tragic past. And beyond this shoreline of whispered ghosts, our journey continues deeper into Florida's darkest corners, where the next location promises even more chilling encounters waiting to be uncovered. Number 4. The Biltmore Hotel, Coral Gables. Standing proudly in Coral Gables, the Biltmore Hotel is a symbol of elegance, luxury, and old-world charm. Its grand arches, sweeping staircases, and lush courtyards attract countless visitors every year. Yet beneath its polished facade lies a history steeped in mystery and restless spirits. Guests and staff alike have long reported encounters with a mysterious woman in a long, flowing dress, whose presence seems tied to both the hotel's past glories and its darker, forgotten stories. The legend begins in the 1920s, when the Biltmore first opened its doors as a symbol of opulence in South Florida. The woman in white is said to have been a socialite who frequented the hotel's lavish ballrooms and hallways. Her life cut short under circumstances that remain unclear. Since her passing, sightings of her ghost have been reported throughout the hotel, from the grand lobby to abandoned rooms, tucked away in upper floors. She is rarely seen in full detail, often appearing as a shadowy figure in the corner of a hallway or gliding silently across the polished floors, her long dress flowing as if caught in a breeze no one else feels. Many guests report a sense of unease in certain rooms, a feeling of being observed by unseen eyes. Staff have shared stories of cold spots that appear suddenly, lights flickering without explanation, and objects moving from their original positions. Some claim that while walking down the quiet corridors at night, they hear soft footsteps echoing just behind them, only to find the hallway empty when they turn. Others have reported hearing whispers, faint and unintelligible, as if the walls themselves are trying to communicate something from the past. The hotel's history adds layers to its spectral reputation. During World War II, the Biltmore was converted into a hospital for soldiers, hosting countless patients and nurses. It is said that some of these individuals never truly left, their spirits lingering in the hallways where they once walked, worked, and endured suffering. Guests occasionally see fleeting images in the corner of their eyes, only to vanish when looked at directly. Some have even captured faint apparitions in photographs, particularly near the staircases and abandoned rooms, where the air feels heavier, thicker, and charged with unseen energy. Despite its continued operation as a luxury resort, the Biltmore Hotel maintains an air of mystery that both fascinates and unnerves. The woman in white, the unexplained cold breezes, and the occasional flickering lights serve as reminders that the past is never truly gone. Each guest who walks its corridors becomes part of its long history, walking alongside echoes of lives that refused to leave. As the Biltmore whispers its secrets through empty halls and ornate ballrooms, our journey through Florida's haunted corners presses onward. Just beyond the city, another location waits, promising tales even darker, stranger, and more unsettling than those we have already uncovered. Number 5. The Riddle House, West Palm Beach. Nestled in West Palm Beach, the Riddle House carries an eerie reputation that has persisted for over a century. Originally built as a funeral parlor in the early 1900s, its walls have absorbed decades of grief, sorrow, and untold stories of the departed. Visitors and paranormal enthusiasts report ghostly activity, ranging from fleeting apparitions of morticians in period attire to shadowy figures moving silently through the hallways. Some claim to hear footsteps echoing where no one walks, and doors creaking open without cause, as if the house itself remembers the lives it has touched. The Riddle House's history contributes heavily to its spectral reputation. During its early years as a funeral home, countless families brought their loved ones to the building, many of whom were laid to rest elsewhere, but whose spirits are said to linger behind. Staff over the decades have shared chilling accounts of objects moving on their own, sudden drops in temperature, and the feeling of being watched. Visitors often experience an unshakable heaviness in the air, a pressure that seems to press on the chest and make every step through the darkened corridors tense with anticipation. Local legends tell of the morticians who worked late into the night, perfecting their craft, and never truly leaving the premises. Their presence reportedly manifests as fleeting shadows, cold drafts, and the faint smell of embalming chemicals, even when the building is empty. Some witnesses have recounted seeing early 20th century visitors, elegantly dressed in old-fashioned clothing, wandering the halls or peering from upstairs windows, their expressions solemn and eyes hollow. Others have reported ghostly whispers, murmurs of grief, or ritualistic chants that seem to echo from walls long untouched. The building's period architecture, with high ceilings, narrow hallways, and heavy wooden doors enhances the unsettling atmosphere, creating long shadows that stretch unnaturally in the moonlight. Paranormal investigators have claimed to capture unexplained phenomena on camera, including orbs of light hovering near the floors, sudden temperature drops in specific rooms, and electronic voice phenomena that seem to mimic cries, calls, and warnings from the past. Despite renovations and changes in ownership, the Riddle House has never lost its chilling aura. Every creaking floorboard, every whisper of wind through the old windows adds to the narrative that this place is not merely a building, but a repository of memories too strong to fade. Guests who linger too long often leave with the feeling that something unseen is watching them, observing, and perhaps remembering a time when the house was alive with purpose, sorrow, and ritual. Number 6. Fort Clinch, Fernandina Beach. Standing stoically at the northern tip of Amelia Island, Fort Clinch has watched over Florida's coast since the mid-19th century. Built to protect the state during the Civil War, its stone walls have seen battles, imprisonment, and the weight of history pressing down upon every corridor. Today, visitors and paranormal investigators alike report that the fort is far from silent. The echoes of the past seem to linger, as if the soldiers who once marched these grounds never truly left. Reports of ghostly soldiers are frequent and chilling. Witnesses claim to see shadowy figures dressed in Civil War-era uniforms, walking the ramparts, inspecting the cannons, and vanishing into thin air when approached. Some describe hearing the clatter of boots on stone floors, the distant commands of officers, or the subtle thrum of drums in the dead of night. Others have felt sudden, inexplicable chills as they walk along the fort's dimly lit hallways, an icy presence that seems to follow them, unseen but undeniably real. Local legends speak of the fort's turbulent past, battles that ended in bloodshed, soldiers succumbing to disease, and prisoners enduring unimaginable hardships within its walls. These stories feed the spectral activity observed today. Visitors often report seeing orbs of light floating in empty rooms, doors opening and closing without cause, and the occasional metallic clang reminiscent of fallen weapons. Some paranormal experts suggest that the fort's layered history of conflict, death, and vigilance has created residual energy, replaying events like a spectral memory etched into the very stones. Beyond the soldiers, there are tales of visitors encountering figures that defy easy explanation, fleeting glimpses of individuals in tattered civilian clothing, mournful apparitions that wander the outer walls, or sudden sensations of being watched while walking along deserted stairways. Many who stay after hours recount the sensation of footsteps trailing theirs, whispers carried by the wind, and an overarching feeling that Fort Clinch is not merely haunted, but alive with the echoes of its past. The fort's architecture amplifies the unease. Narrow stone passageways, hidden corners, and the sprawling ramparts create shadows that move with the flicker of lanterns. Even during the day, the walls seem to hum with history, and at night, the moonlight over the battlements casts eerie silhouettes that blur the line between reality and apparition. As the sun sets and Fort Clinch falls into darkness, the spectral soldiers continue their silent patrols, a reminder that the sacrifices, fears, and turmoil of a bygone era never truly fade. Yet the coast of Florida still holds more secrets, and just beyond the horizon, another haunted location waits, a place where tragedy and mystery converge in ways that will chill the bravest of souls. Number 7. Union Cemetery, Bradenton. Nestled quietly within Bradenton, Union Cemetery may appear at first glance to be a peaceful resting place. lined with weathered headstones and shaded by old oak trees draped in Spanish moss. But beneath its serene surface lies a reputation that has earned it a chilling place among Florida's most haunted sites. Locals and visitors alike report encounters that make even the most skeptical pause and question the boundary between life and death. One of the most persistent legends revolves around phantom children. Witnesses have described the sound of small, echoing footsteps across the gravestones, soft giggles carried by a breeze that holds no living child. Some have claimed to see fleeting figures darting between headstones, tiny silhouettes vanishing as soon as the observer focuses on them. These manifestations are often accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, a tangible cold that seems to creep over the skin, leaving a shiver that goes far beyond the evening air. Glowing orbs are another common phenomenon reported at Union Cemetery. Dozens of visitors recount seeing small spheres of light hovering above graves, floating slowly among the rows of stone markers, only to vanish without explanation. Paranormal investigators believe these orbs may be connected to restless spirits lingering in the cemetery, their presence too subtle to manifest fully, yet impossible to ignore. Some orbs have been captured on camera or in video footage, further cementing the cemetery's reputation as a hotspot of supernatural activity. Shadowy figures add to the unease. Witnesses often describe tall, dark silhouettes gliding silently between the graves, sometimes moving in ways that defy natural movement, as if weightless. Others report sudden, unexplained sounds, a whisper in the dark, the scraping of shoes against gravel, or the distant sobs of someone unseen. Many describe an overwhelming feeling of being watched, a sensation that intensifies when walking alone in the cemetery after dusk. Union Cemetery's haunted reputation is tied not just to the paranormal, but to its history. Established in the late 19th century, the grounds have seen countless burials, family tragedies, and the passage of generations. Some researchers suggest that the cumulative energy of lives ended prematurely or violently may contribute to the activity, the sorrow and unrest, somehow imprinted into the very earth. Visitors who dare to explore Union Cemetery are often left with a lingering sense of unease. The quiet beauty of the site masks a darker reality, a place where innocent spirits, glowing apparitions, and shadowed forms refuse to rest. And as the night deepens and the moonlight filters through the ancient trees, the haunting continues, hinting that Florida's next ghostly secret is just around the corner, waiting to reveal itself to those brave enough to seek it. Number 8. Ybor City, Tampa. Step into the streets of Ybor City in Tampa, and you're stepping into a world layered with history, industry, and secrets that refuse to stay buried. Founded in the late 19th century by cigar manufacturers, this historic district thrived on the labor of immigrant workers, mostly Cuban, Spanish, and Italian. The air is still thick with the scent of nostalgia, yet beneath the bustling cafes and vibrant nightlife lies a darker presence, the lingering spirits of those long gone. Among the red brick buildings and narrow alleyways, locals have reported numerous ghostly encounters. Former cigar factory workers are said to roam the upper floors of abandoned warehouses, their figures visible through dusty windows, moving as if the daily grind of rolling and packing cigars continues even after death. Some visitors recount hearing the faint clatter of machinery or the rhythmic tapping of hands on wooden tables late at night, sounds that vanish when investigated, but linger in the memory like a half-remembered dream. Residents and shopkeepers alike have shared chilling experiences. Some describe sudden cold drafts in rooms with no open windows, or objects mysteriously moving on their own. A few report seeing shadowy figures crossing streets, pausing to watch before vanishing into the night. The ghosts of Ybor City seem tied to the district's history, their unrest echoing the hardships, sweat, and long hours endured by workers over a century ago. Even the old boarding houses carry stories of apparitions. Travelers report waking to see ghostly faces at the foot of their beds, or feeling a presence pressing against them in the dark. It's as if the spirits of the neighborhood, bound by their attachment to the buildings and streets, have refused to leave, continuing their routines in spectral form. Tour guides often note that Ybor City's paranormal activity is not just the product of imagination. The combination of tragic deaths, industrial accidents, and the dense, intimate nature of the buildings creates an environment ripe for lingering energy. Many paranormal enthusiasts believe that the ghosts are particularly active in areas that were once the most industrious: old cigar factories, packing houses, and communal halls where workers gathered after long days. Walking through Ybor City after sunset, it's impossible not to feel a strange awareness of the past brushing against the present. The laughter of tourists, the hum of nightlife, and the clinking of glasses are overlaid with invisible footsteps, ghostly sighs, and fleeting glimpses of figures who walked these streets long before the modern city rose. In this historic district, the living share space with the dead, and those who venture here after dark often find themselves not alone. And as the night presses on, another haunted location waits quietly nearby, ready to reveal its own dark story to those brave enough to listen. Number 9. Kennedy Space Center and Launch Complexes. The Kennedy Space Center in Florida is known worldwide as a beacon of human ambition, where rockets pierce the sky and dreams of exploration take flight. Yet beneath the gleaming control rooms and launch pads, whispers linger of a different kind of presence, the spirits of those who walked these grounds long before the roar of engines and flash of flames, and some who never left. Employees and visitors alike have reported strange occurrences, especially near the older launch complexes. Phantom footsteps echo through empty corridors in the dead of night, as if unseen workers are still performing their duties. Doors that should be locked swing open without cause, and control panels flicker with unexplained lights, pulsing in rhythms that match no system schedule. Some technicians claim to hear distant metallic clanging or muffled voices arguing over procedures long since forgotten. Stories circulate of ghostly astronauts, spectral figures in full suits wandering the launch pads. Witnesses describe seeing figures standing near rockets, staring upward as if preparing for a mission that never launched. In some reports, these figures vanish the instant someone approaches, leaving only the faint odor of ozone or the electric hum of dormant machinery behind. The history of the site is filled with triumph and tragedy, and some believe these spirits are tied to that past. Engineers, technicians, and ground crew who worked tirelessly under intense pressure, and those who perished in accidents, may have imprinted themselves on the very foundations of the complex. The sense of being watched is common among night shift workers, particularly near Launch Complex 39 and the older pads that have stood silent for decades. Visitors exploring the site after hours recount sudden chills, a feeling of eyes upon them, or even brief glimpses of moving shadows out of the corner of their eyes. Security personnel have reported hearing conversations in empty halls, the quiet shuffle of boots along deserted walkways, and the occasional alarm that triggers without reason. Even during the day, the sprawling grounds seem to hum with an unseen energy. The past lingers not just in photographs and memorabilia, but in sensations: a brush of wind that chills the skin, an unexpected flicker of light across a room, or the impression of being followed along the pathways between the launch pads. The Kennedy Space Center reminds us that history is never truly gone, that ambition and tragedy leave traces. As night falls over the Florida coast, the silent launch pads await their next visitor, silently bearing witness to both human achievement and the spirits who never left. And just beyond the perimeter, another location holds its secrets, waiting for the curious to uncover its chilling story. Number 10. Bok Tower Gardens, Lake Wales. Bok Tower Gardens is a serene oasis perched atop Iron Mountain in Lake Wales, a place of art, nature, and quiet reflection. Its iconic singing tower rises high above the lush gardens, chiming carillon bells that echo across the landscape. But beneath the tranquility, whispers persist of spirits that refuse to rest, lingering among the winding paths, reflecting pools and hidden alcoves of this historic estate. Visitors have reported glimpsing shadowy figures darting between the manicured hedges, only to vanish when approached. Some speak of the faint sound of footsteps along empty walkways, or the rustling of leaves when no breeze stirs the air. In the evenings, the tower itself seems to exude an eerie presence. Its melodic chimes sometimes shift in tone unexpectedly, as though responding to an unseen audience. Former groundskeepers and workers tell tales of ghostly figures in the gardens, often appearing in vintage attire from decades past. They describe apparitions tending to plants, pruning bushes, or walking silently along the pathways, vanishing when observed directly. One recurring story involves a caretaker who fell to his death decades ago. Visitors claim to see him pacing near the reflecting pool, his form shimmering in the moonlight. There are also reports of spectral visitors, figures who seem out of place, appearing among tourists or quietly watching from the tree line. Some believe these are the souls of those who once roamed the gardens or admired the tower when it first opened in 1929. At night, the gardens take on a particularly haunting aura, the tall cypress and oak trees casting long shadows, the bell tower looming like a sentinel over the silent paths, and the distant echo of music from the carillon seeming to linger longer than it should. Paranormal investigators have captured strange readings on the grounds, sudden temperature drops, unexplained orbs of light, and electronic disturbances around the tower. Even casual visitors report an uneasy feeling, the sensation of being watched or followed along secluded trails. Some have heard whispers carried by the wind or felt a presence when standing near the reflecting pools, moments that leave a chill that no Florida warmth can chase away. Bok Tower Gardens reminds us that beauty and eeriness can coexist. The charm of its gardens and the artistry of the singing tower are undeniable. But for those who listen closely, the whispers of the past echo through the grounds. As the carillon bells fade into the Florida night, one wonders who still wanders these paths, forever part of the tower's haunting melody. And as we leave this garden of spectral secrets behind, another haunted location waits in the shadows, promising a story even darker than the last. Number 11. The House of the Seven Chimneys, St. Augustine. St. Augustine is America's oldest city, its streets layered with centuries of history, conquest, and mystery. Among its historic homes, the House of the Seven Chimneys stands out, not for its architecture alone, but for the stories whispered about its restless inhabitants. Locals and visitors alike have reported experiences that defy explanation: shadows moving across walls, doors that swing open without cause, and cold spots that appear and vanish in an instant. The house earned its name from the 7 tall chimneys piercing the roofline, each a silent witness to generations of life and tragedy. Over the years, guests have spoken of shadowy figures appearing in the attic or at the edge of hallways. Some have described the sensation of being watched, even in empty rooms, or hearing faint footsteps echoing across creaking floorboards, long after the house should be quiet. Legend holds that the house's spirits are tied to its past residents, families who lived, loved, and, in some cases, died within its walls. Among the most persistent tales is that of a figure in the parlor, glimpsed out of the corner of one's eye, only to vanish when turned toward. Others recount objects moving on their own, chairs sliding across floors, books toppling from shelves, and lights flickering with no electrical cause. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained phenomena here as well. EMF, spikes, sudden drops in temperature, and electronic disturbances all suggest that the House of the 7 Chimneys is more than just an old building. It is a conduit to the past, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead seems unusually thin. Visitors have also reported a pervasive feeling of unease, a weight in the air that presses down, particularly in the attic and along the staircase. Some have claimed to hear whispers or faint cries, fleeting, yet unmistakably human. Even those skeptical of the paranormal often feel a chill when passing through certain rooms or peering into the house at night. The House of the 7 Chimneys reminds us that history does not always rest peacefully. Its walls are a testament to the lives once lived there, and perhaps to the spirits who linger still. As night falls over St. Augustine and the city's old streets grow quiet, one can imagine the unseen residents moving silently through the rooms, watching, waiting. And just beyond this house, another location awaits, ready to reveal the next haunting chapter in our journey through Florida's darkest corners. Number 12. Hotel DeSoto, Savannah, Florida. Savannah, Florida, though less famous than its Georgian namesake in Georgia, hides a hotel whose walls have absorbed decades of human experience, some of it restless and unresolved. Hotel DeSoto stands as a sentinel of the past, a historic building where guests and staff alike have reported phenomena that defy explanation. Those who step inside after dark often speak of an atmosphere thick with presence, the air heavy and charged, as though unseen eyes are following every movement. Many stories revolve around shadowy figures seen drifting through the corridors. Guests have described seeing a man in early 20th century attire pacing near the stairwell, only to vanish when approached. Others report fleeting glimpses of a woman in a flowing gown, appearing at the end of a hallway or near the lobby, her form fading into the dim lighting before anyone can get a closer look. Doors have a tendency to act independently. Some swing open with a force that seems unnatural or shut quietly on their own, startling those nearby. Lights flicker inexplicably, sometimes in a rhythmic pattern, as if trying to communicate. Whispered voices echo through empty hallways, too low to discern words yet chilling in tone. Staff members have confessed to feeling sudden chills while alone, as though someone has brushed past them in an empty room. Guests staying overnight have reported dreams that feel more like memories, vivid visions of past occupants going about their lives, some joyous, others tragic. There are accounts of objects moving slightly from where they were placed, small but unmistakable, lending an eerie sense that the building itself is alive with memory. Paranormal investigators who have examined the property detected EMF spikes, cold spots, and unexplainable sounds that suggest the presence of intelligent spirits. The hotel's history adds layers to its haunting. Over the decades, it has hosted travelers, families, and workers who lived transient lives within its walls. Some speculate that those spirits who remain are tied to intense moments of emotion, unresolved conflicts, or sudden deaths, leaving fragments of themselves behind in this historic place. Hotel de Soto is a reminder that even in Florida's sun-soaked landscapes, the past can linger, waiting silently in shadowed hallways. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of wind through the old windows seems to carry a story not yet finished. And as visitors leave the hotel behind, another haunted location waits in the distance, promising that the night's journey through Florida's spectral corners is far from over. Number 13. Fort Zachary Taylor, Key West, Florida. Perched at the edge of Key West, Fort Zachary Taylor has stood sentinel over the waters for more than a century and a half. The fort, with its thick brick walls and labyrinthine barracks, once prepared soldiers for the harsh realities of the Civil War. Today, those same walls seem to hold echoes of the past, whispers of lives long gone, yet unwilling to rest. Visitors and staff alike have reported a persistent feeling of being watched, a sensation that lingers as you wander through the empty corridors and abandoned rooms. Sightings are not uncommon. People describe shadowy figures, often dressed in 19th century military uniforms, moving silently along the fort's corridors or standing guard at the outer walls. Some claim to have seen these soldiers performing drills or pacing as if still on duty, their presence so tangible it feels almost physical. Those who have lingered too long report sudden drops in temperature, icy gusts that have no source, and a chill that seems to seep into the bones. The barracks are a particular hotspot for paranormal activity. Voices echo faintly at night, orders shouted, footsteps marching, the low murmur of soldiers speaking in hushed tones. Some visitors have captured orbs of light on camera or noted strange shadows darting across the walls. The sense of unease is heightened by the fort's history. Beyond its military use, the grounds witnessed hardships and tragedies, from training accidents to disease outbreaks, and it's believed that these intense emotional moments left a lasting imprint. Witnesses recount feeling sudden pressure on their shoulders, as if someone were standing just behind them. Yet when they turn, the space is empty. Doors occasionally open or close on their own, and objects in the barracks shift without explanation. Paranormal investigators have detected unexplained electromagnetic fluctuations and recorded sounds that resemble distant drum beats or the faint echoes of marching feet. Fort Zachary Taylor is a stark reminder that even under the Florida sun, history casts long shadows. The fort's stones carry the memories of soldiers who trained, fought, and died, leaving traces of their presence behind. As the sun dips below the horizon and the water laps quietly against the shore, the fort transforms from a historic site into a place where the past and present seem to overlap, and where the living may catch glimpses of those who never truly left. As you step away from the fort's walls, the journey continues, leading you deeper into Florida's haunted corners, each holding secrets darker than the last. Number 14. Ponte Vedra Inn and Club, Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. On the sun-kissed shores of Ponte Vedra Beach, the Inn and Club presents itself as a picture of elegance and leisure, a place where visitors come to unwind along pristine sands and manicured golf courses. But beneath its polished veneer lies a history peppered with whispers, footsteps, and presences that refuse to leave. Guests and staff alike have reported experiences that defy explanation, hinting that the hotel's serene corridors are anything but ordinary after dark. The most common accounts center around phantom footsteps echoing along hallways when no one is present. Staff members recount walking past empty corridors only to hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking behind them, quickening when they quicken, pausing when they pause, but always vanishing the moment they turn. Some have reported doors creaking open on their own, as if an unseen hand were gently nudging them, and cold drafts that snake through rooms without windows or air vents to account for the chill. Rooms themselves have been the site of unexplained activity. Guests have reported hearing whispers in the night, soft voices that carry fleeting messages or indistinct warnings. Some speak of the feeling of being watched while lying in bed, an oppressive sensation that grows heavier as the night deepens. Objects have been observed moving without explanation, books sliding across tables, chairs rocking slightly, and lamps flickering despite being unplugged. Paranormal investigators who have explored the inn have noted unusual electromagnetic readings, suggesting a residual energy imprint from past occupants. History provides context for the lingering presence. Over the decades, countless visitors have passed through the inn, some leaving behind emotional traces, grief, longing, or unresolved conflict. It is said that the energy from these intense human emotions can become imprinted on a location, particularly in a place that has hosted so many for so long. Some speculate that former guests, unable or unwilling to leave, continue their routines, wandering halls or revisiting spaces they once occupied. The haunting at Pontevedra Inn and Club is subtle yet persistent, a quiet reminder that luxury and leisure do not erase history. Even as the ocean waves crash outside and the Florida sun bathes the grounds in warmth, the shadows inside hold stories of the unseen. Staff speak of experiences with a mix of fear and respect, knowing that while the guests come and go, some presences remain, tethered to the hotel by memories that refuse to fade. As you leave the inn behind, a sense of lingering anticipation follows. There are still secrets hidden along Florida's coast, waiting to reveal themselves to those willing to step off the sunlit paths and into the darker side of the state's storied past. Number 15. Stetson Mansion, DeLand, Florida. Perched in DeLand, the Stetson Mansion stands as a testament to opulence, wealth, and architectural grandeur. Yet behind its stately walls lies a presence that continues to unsettle all who enter. Built by the famous hat manufacturer John B. Stetson, this sprawling estate was once alive with the hustle of household staff, lavish parties, and the quiet routines of its residents. Today, it remains a place of fascination, not only for its historic beauty, but for the lingering echoes of those long gone. Visitors and staff describe the mansion as alive in the dark hours, but not with ordinary life. Hallways that appear empty often carry the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth, and rooms that should be silent hum with faint whispers that vanish when approached. Lights flicker inexplicably, sometimes in direct response to human presence, as if the mansion itself were acknowledging an unseen guest. Doors creak open slowly with no wind, and furniture occasionally shifts, leaving a chill of unease in its wake. The apparitions reported here are as vivid as they are unsettling. Some witnesses claim to see figures dressed in early 20th century attire, moving with purpose, but fading when confronted. Others describe shadowy forms of servants performing unseen duties, as if the mansion continues its routines decades after its inhabitants have passed. Staff have recounted the sensation of being watched, an oppressive feeling that grows heavier in the oldest wings of the house. Paranormal investigators note energy spikes in specific rooms, particularly those once occupied by the family, suggesting residual echoes of strong emotions and daily life. Stories tie the mansion's restless presence to the intense lives of its former residents. John B. Stetson's family lived with wealth and prominence, yet like any household of the era, the estate saw its share of private struggles, triumphs, and grief. Some speculate that these intense emotional imprints have bound the spirits to the house, creating a loop of energy that repeats nightly. Whether it is the footsteps of a matriarch overseeing her home, or the quiet labor of a servant long past, the mansion seems unwilling to release its hold on the living. The haunting at Stetson Mansion is both dramatic and subtle, leaving a lingering sense of wonder and fear. By day, it is a marvel of historical preservation. By night, it becomes a stage for the unseen, a place where past and present collide. Visitors leave with stories of flickering lights, unexplained noises, and the unnerving feeling that some of the mansion's original occupants are still very much present, silently observing, moving unseen, and ensuring that the history of this legendary estate remains alive. As the final shadow of night falls over Florida, the Stetson Mansion reminds all who dare enter that even in the grandest homes, the past never truly sleeps. Reflect on Florida as a state where sunshine and beauty mask a hidden world of darkness. From historic lighthouses to grand mansions, from Civil War forts to luxury hotels, the dead linger in quiet corners and shadowed hallways. Every creaking floorboard, flickering light, and unexplained whisper is a reminder that the past refuses to rest. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to uncover more terrifying and real haunted places. In Florida, some spirits never sleep, and some stories are far from over.